So this is the part where my book literally changed my life. Financially, I almost sold this van like 3 times. This van is a representation of transformation. In 2016, I lost my dad. My dad was my hero. He was a creative, a beautiful human being who supported everything I did and wanted nothing but the best for me. However, before he passed, I urged him so much to write our story coming from a refugee camp after fleeing the 1990 Gulf War. You know, as much as I wanted him to write that book, I knew there was so much pain behind that story for him. And when he passed in 2016, I just felt like I needed a complete change in my life. You see, at the time, I owned an apparel printing business that was doing pretty well, and it was thriving. However, though I felt like I was completely on purpose and doing what I love to do, after he passed, I felt that sense of purpose gone. I felt like the things that I wanted to prove to him that I would be a successful young man kind of went out the window, and it didn't really matter anymore. And so I needed to sort of shift to my own purpose and really understand for me what I wanted to do with my life. Because up to that point, I felt like I just wanted to make him proud. I wanted to make sure that he knew that his sacrifice for bringing me to America and the things that he endured were worth it. And so it didn't make sense anymore after he passed that my life needed to take a different trajectory. However, I didn't know what to do. So I spent the next few years, up until 2019, I finally decided to write my first book and to share that story and to talk about him and really talk about, you know, the amazing lessons that he had given me throughout my life and how incredible they were to me. And so writing this book was cathartic. It was a way to say thank you to my father, and it was a way to understand how to move forward. I actually wanted to write the book to just book a few speaking engagements and share my story with my nephews, my nieces, the kids that were younger, the younger version of me, and I wanted to pass down his lessons to all of them. However, when I launched my book finally in 2021, my life had utterly changed. I had sold the business. I was able to let go of things much easier. I was able to sort of transform myself in the writing process and open up myself to what's possible and what's next. And in that process, I started doing a podcast show inside this van. And because it was parked in 2020 throughout COVID, and we were using the van for doing like, setting up shop at different events and selling t-shirts, I decided that, we should transform this into a storytelling machine. And even with that, I didn't really know what I was doing. Even with that, I just kind of asked my friend to come help me. You see, what I realized throughout my life is that I don't know how to do stuff, and I just kind of experiment. I kind of just tackle it. I kind of just start doing things. And so the message of this video is really about going from consuming to creating. I think that's been the most powerful thing in my life, is that I've always leaned into my creative abilities and taking a chance, taking a stab, asking for help. There were plenty of times where my pride got in the way, my ego got in the way, where I didn't ask for help. And those kinds of times, I felt a sense of darkness, I felt alone, and anything I tried during that time, it didn't work because I felt like I could do it myself. However, when I wrote my book, I realized there was something more powerful that I needed to lean into, which was supportive structures, people and ideas and things around me, to really collaborate and think about them as not competition, but collaborators. And so in 2021, we decided to move down to Arizona, my wife and I had to leave the van behind and sort of really try to figure out what to do next. So I was working with this publishing company to really learn the publishing industry and figure out where I fit in and what I wanted to do next. So I realized that working with authors gave me so much joy. It excited me, it made me understand my story more, and I knew that because I had gone through the process, that I would be of help to someone who wants to go through the process of writing and publishing their own book. And I fell in love with that. However, my marketing skills from my previous businesses, my graphic design skills, my website building skill, all of these skills that I've learned in the past came to full effect when I decided to launch my own business this year. So I got laid off in May of 2023, and I decided to launch Rising Authors to build a community of authors and experts to come together and help each other, work some things out, ask questions. So this is the part where my book literally changed my life. It's because I wrote a book that I'm able to connect with authors and work with them in the capacities that I do today. So in early 2021, I started a podcast show called Art of Resilience, where I basically interviewed friends and people that I loved and admired to share their stories, their immigrant stories, their resilience, and their state of mind. And I fell in love with that. I loved having this sort of mobile storytelling machine. Because in 2021, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to build a YouTube channel. I didn't know how to edit videos or anything. And so luckily I had a good friend of mine, shout out to Alex, who basically came in and started helping me with this channel that we were trying to build and this show. However, kind of abruptly in March of 2021, I sort of ended it and moved down to Arizona knowing that it's on the back burner. I made a life change and my wife and I moved, and I needed to get my life together and figure out, what to do next. So as I got further in the publishing industry and I realized there was so much to learn, and I went in for the next couple of years and learned a ton. So when I got laid off, it was just appropriate to sort of regroup, bring a community together, and thoughts of bringing back the podcast really re-emerged because I knew it's something that I loved. Luckily, there was a few times financially, I almost sold this van like 3 times. But I just knew deep down in my soul that there are some stories that still need to be told through this storytelling machine. And so what I decided to do was eventually bring it down here. And now in the next few months, I'm going to be making some investments in the van to make it into a mobile studio where we can go around speaking to authors, let them share their stories, meet with them, connect with them, and learn from them. So I'm really excited for 2024 because bringing this show back up online, and now that I know so much about YouTube, thumbnails, stories, putting things online, content creating, marketing, and meeting authors and having a network of authors is amazing. That's how much this book has changed my life, is that it completely changed the trajectory in what I do on a daily basis and immerse myself even more with working with authors. And so this van is a representation of transformation, that we bought it to basically go out and put our work out in the world through events, and now it's become a way of telling stories and sharing online in a unique way. And there's nothing cooler than that for me. As a creative, I always want to make something unique and distinct for me because I think it's fun. I think it's something that takes me out of what's comfortable. It's always hard. Currently, this van is not running, and I have to invest some money into it to get it back up and running, fix up a few things, and that's okay. That makes it challenging. But part of that challenge comes stories and adventures. And for me, that's what makes life worth living, is the stories and the adventures that come out of taking steps forward, getting into uncomfortable things. And again, this van still has stories to tell. And I think I cherish that, and that's why I held on to it. Because I want to continue creating, not just consuming the world around me. I want to be a part of sharing other people's stories, sharing their lives, and sharing their work. And I think my work personally is all about transformation. The good, the bad, the ugly. What does it all entail? I know that I know for a fact that everything is happening for me and not to me. And once I made that decision in my mind, I realized that everything that I've intended to do is coming into fruition. So with that, I hope you can join me throughout 2024 as I share more of my story, more of other people's stories, whether it's in the van or in my studio or some random place out in the country. I can't wait to share more with you in 2024, so hang tight. I appreciate you so much for subscribing to the channel, watching my journey, and I'll catch you soon. Take care. Peace.